Good morning, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. As U.S. Ambassador to France and Monaco, I am so pleased to welcome you here to the U.S. Center. That's great. For this discussion of the Clean Energy Ministerial. And it is my distinct honor to introduce my friend, Secretary of Energy, Dr. Ernest Moniz, who will be leading today's discussion. We are so fortunate to have such an outstanding, dedicated member of President Obama's cabinet here with us today. Secretary Moniz has played a leading role in our government's climate change action and is working hard to accelerate the transition to clean energy. Under his leadership, the Department of Energy has played an active role in the Clean Energy Ministerial, contributing to promote tangible actions to address climate change worldwide. It's that sort of dedication and commitment that will help solve what is clearly a global problem, because no country is immune, and we must all act together. And no one is more dedicated than our Secretary of Energy, a former physicist and distinguished MIT professor who has been a true champion of clean energy. As President Obama said when appointing Dr. Moniz as Energy Secretary, Ernie knows that we can produce more energy and grow our economy while still taking care of our air, our water, and our climate. Now, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome Secretary Moniz.
Well, thank you, Ambassador Hartley. Even if you were a little bit cruel in calling me a former physicist, but regrettably it's true. Hopefully we can nevertheless accomplish something. I'm very happy to have the chance to lead off and to describe the Clean Energy Ministerial, to be joined by California Governor Jerry Brown and my colleague ministers who will be introduced shortly, and to talk a little bit about our plans going forward. We are viewing the Clean Energy Ministerial as we think an important contributor to the solutions to the challenges that are being discussed here in Paris. Obviously, focusing on clean energy as the title of the organization implies. The CEM, we call it the CEM, CEM, is a group of 23 countries, plus the European Commission, countries that represent about 90% of the world's clean energy investments and about 75% of greenhouse gas emissions. It includes the largest emitters like the United States and China, India, hydrocarbon producers, Saudi Arabia, and many other countries that we can discuss. It's a bottom-up, voluntary, collaborative forum, but I want to emphasize that with that bottom-up approach, it's also been a very effective organization and one that certainly we, the Department of Energy, strongly support. Just to say a few examples of some of the outcomes from the CEM discussions. One is, for example, the Solar and Wind Working Group. It's led by Denmark, Germany, and Spain, and in partnership with IRENA, the Renewable Energy Organization, and DOE's National Renewable Laboratory. They have developed what really is a groundbreaking atlas for renewable energy. Really the largest initiative ever undertaken to assess renewable energy resource potentials on a global scale. Another initiative is the Electric Vehicle Initiative. That's led by China and the United States, but is helping inform India's national mission on electric mobility and it's helping it reach its deployment targets of 5 to 7 million hybrid and electric vehicles by the end of this decade. Another example is cooperative work through the SEM Appliance Efficiency Initiative. This one is led by India and the United States. And India then became the first country in the world to comprehensively set quality and performance standards for LED lighting. They applied those standards in concert with an amazing bulk purchase program to commit to hundreds of millions of LEDs at an extraordinarily low cost, which will bring light mainly to the rural poor in India. So that's another example of what's come out of SEM. But this year, our Mexican colleagues did a terrific job in hosting the Clean Energy Ministerial in Mérida, Yucatan, Mexico, and really helped, I think, rejuvenate the SEM, bring it to a new level, 2.0, with some new initiatives. For example, lighting is, as you know, again, a major challenge. Over 15% of the world's electricity consumption for lights, maybe 5% of greenhouse gas emissions as a result. Yesterday, here at the COP during Energy Day, the SEM Global Lighting Challenge, and I see my colleague, Minister Bailan, was launched to reduce the lighting environmental footprint. It's basically a race to 10 billion LEDs, and yesterday we saw commitments to over half of that target in the next few years. So the Global Lighting Challenge is one that we think is again going to make a big difference. Another area very important is a Clean Energy Solutions Center, which is operated out of our renewable laboratory. Sweden, United States, and Australia supporting it. It has provided technical assistance for clean energy development to 90 countries, and now a new initiative is to expand that to a finance portal to provide technical assistance for being able to turn projects into financeable projects. So really, it's really, again, quite a lot of activity, and we are looking at this as, again, part of the road from Paris, where we will be able to work together to get the solutions out there to meet our ambitious targets. So with that background, I'm going to introduce the next contributor here, Governor Jerry Brown of California. I'm sure many of you know that California is a leading state in the United States in progressive clean energy policies and deployment. San Francisco and the Bay Area, which includes Silicon Valley, are considered a global hub of clean tech industry and venture capital. California is home to world-class universities, and 3 of our 17 U.S. national laboratories, Department of Energy national laboratories, innovative companies that I think are very familiar names to many of you. And the reason I link this to our Clean Energy Ministerial discussion is that we are very pleased to announce jointly that we will be holding the next Clean Energy Ministerial number 7 on June 1st and 2nd in California. Governor Brown, I'm sure will be a very gracious and innovative host, since that's the hallmark of his actions as governor. So I think with that, Governor Brown, if you could come to the podium, and we are, sorry? San Francisco. Yeah. And so again, we're very pleased that Governor Brown is going to be hosting us.
Okay, thank you. We definitely look forward to that. Coming to San Francisco Bay Area, great place of innovation, particularly with respect to energy. Well, first, I have to say California is the 3rd largest oil-producing states in the United States, and we're probably the biggest consumer of all the states. In fact, we have to import 70% of our oil and only produce locally 30% for our needs. And while we're known for our innovation in terms of new kind of resources, clean energy, I think it's well to set the challenge in precise terms. And the challenge is this: California has a little more than 38 million people. It has 32 million vehicles. Those vehicles are driven 393, 94 billion miles a year. And you know, how far is the sun? 93 million? Well, California drives 330 billion, as in B. Now, how much gasoline does that take? It takes 14 million gallons of gasoline and 4 million gallons of diesel. Now, out of all that, we generate about 450 million tons of greenhouse gases. Per person, it's about 11 tons per person. Now, we have something called the Under 2 MOU, and we're aiming to reduce that 11 tons per person to 2 tons per person. That's why I call this whole thing a heroic challenge. And we also are seeking to introduce many measures to deal with this. And I won't get into all of them, but in the clean energy area, we are promoting zero-emission vehicles. California has 40% of the zero-emission vehicles. Each year now, we're only buying 2% of the cars we buy. So SUVs still trump those nice solar cars. But we're changing that. And we have a goal. To meet our goal, we're going to need at least 5 million, I say solar cars. The electricity is going to come from the sun and the wind, but the battery is going to run the car. So in terms of the research discussion, there's a lot of research going on. California gets well over 50% of the clean energy venture capital investment in the country. Probably a big percentage of the whole world. So there's a lot of money flowing each year into the private sector. And the state itself provides research through the State Energy Commission. And there's some other ways we provide money. We have a cap and trade system, and the cap and trade system this year will generate $2.5 billion. And some of that is used for technologies that will reduce our dependence on fossil fuel. So that's the goal. We have 25% of our electricity today is renewable. And we don't count our hydro, the dams, we don't count those, and we don't count our nuclear power plant. We only have one left. Used to have 4 of them. In fact, we had 2 more than that at one time. They closed down. So we're down to 1 nuclear power plant, 1,000 megawatts. So we don't count that, but we're at 25%. Our goal is to get, and we'll get there, within 4 years, we'll be at 1/3 renewable energy. In San Diego, a very vibrant part of California, with a big leadership in biotech and millions of people, the electric company there is generating 40% of their electricity from renewable energy today. So, and our goal by 2030 for the whole state is 50%. And our goal for greenhouse gases is to go from 450 million tons in California to about 265 tons. That's a very steep curve. To do that will take heroic efforts, much larger investment in clean energy, lots of efficiency, and many, many different initiatives. So we're very much looking for all the new research and breakthroughs that you can generate. So very important. We're committed. We have a very ambitious goal, but we got a long way to go. And I like to emphasize, because the minister from Saudi Arabia said people hate oil. I want to say clearly, California is oil. Most of the time, people are burning oil driving around the freeways. Fly over California sometime. It's a long line of 32 million vehicles burning oil. Now, having said all that, our goal is to have 5 million zero-emission vehicles by 2030. Don't know how we're going to get there. It's a very big goal. And for the other cars, we want more efficiency. The vehicle emission standards of the United States come from California, because we have our own unique power to set our own tougher standards. So now the federal government has copied California, but we also have the ability, if we don't like what the federal government's doing, to go beyond. And we will go beyond. We have to make our combustion vehicles more efficient, and we will. And we believe that hydrogen fuel is another possibility. We already have 12,000 charging stations. We're going to have many more. And so we're interested very much in a whole variety of new pathways forward. But I don't want to minimize it. There's a lot of good, happy talk about how we're going to meet our under 2 centigrade goal here. It can be done, but it takes money, it takes political will, and it takes efforts by most of the countries in the world. So this is not something that the United States can do or California can do alone. We need everybody, and that to me is the significance of this COP-21. This is a real coming together in a very serious way. But I do want to say California, which I don't want to say invented the car. That would be like Al Gore saying he invented the internet. No, that's not quite true. But we have used the car more aggressively than I think any other civilization. Or at least we started early. And I want to say in that respect, what research did, California in Los Angeles, where it's air pollution is bad. But the air pollution today is 90 to 95% less than it was 40 years ago or 50 years ago. And we have several times more cars. So we have more cars driving more miles, and we have 90% less pollution. Catalytic converter, all sorts of research. Now, the handmaiden of research is coercive regulation from the state. A lot of the people say, well, regulation, they're bad. No, if the regulation is founded on science and is carefully drafted, it can be very good, and it can drive innovation. For example, it was just 5 years ago that our electric companies, one of which is here at this conference, said battery storage, electric storage, too expensive, can't do it. And we said, well, we want you to. Well, it took a couple of years, and I was able to sign a law. California will have 13 megawatts of 1,300 megawatts by 2020 of electric storage, which is the key to renewable energy. We need the sophisticated grid, more research, more technology. We need a broad grid way beyond California, and we need storage. So the real problem with cleaning up things, getting off oil, it takes so much money, so much research, so much political will, so much collaboration from every country, and all the so many people are involved. And that's why I think the climate change challenge is so important, because it is so difficult, and because it is absolutely beyond the capability of any one country. Learning how to solve this problem can teach the world how to solve other problems and how we all depend on one another. And it's not this country versus that country, although it is today, but we have to go beyond that as human beings living in the larger human community and making it work for those who come after us. And that's why we have to commit more of our funds for research, for investment in technologies that will help us get to an age where we can live at a, well, basically we got to get to zero carbon very soon, 2050, a little thereafter. Very difficult. In fact, I would say most people would say it's impossible. I believe it is possible, and I believe this event and the Ministerial on Clean Energy and Research, that's all part of the solution. So for everybody that's here, I want you to feel good about the fact you are here, but I don't want you to think we're even close to a solution. We are really far away. What we have to do, we don't even know how to do yet. But with enough smart people and enough collaboration and enough countries getting off their little ego, nationalism, me first, we can get it done. So that's my message, and I hope your organization, when they come to San Francisco, they can just drink from the waters of creativity that flow through our state. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor Brown, for those spirited remarks. Next, I'd like to introduce our panelists for the panel portion of our event. It is my honor to introduce His Excellency Ali Ibrahim Al Naimi, who's the Saudi Arabian Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources. You can please come up on stage. And I'd also like to introduce His Excellency Ibrahim Baylan, who is the Swedish Minister of the Environment and Energy. Please. Okay, thank you. We'd like to begin the panel, before we turn to audience Q&A, we'd like to begin the panel with a framing question that I'd like each of you to make a few remarks on. There's microphones right up there. The question is, can you briefly describe your country's involvement in the Clean Energy Ministerial, the value realized by your participation in this forum, and how can the Clean Energy Ministerial contribute post-Paris in helping countries realize their INDC goals? And you have a microphone right up there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Indeed, I'm really very pleased to be here and share with everybody what we are doing in the area of clean energy. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia joined the Clean Energy Ministerial in 2015, this year, and attended the meeting in Mexico. It's a pleasure to be part of this important group of nations. We have been very impressed with the Clean Energy Ministerial to date. I remember attending, I think the first time, a meeting in South Korea. And from there on, I said Saudi Arabia should be a member of this group. It offers a practical approach to real-world problems. Also, it places technology at the heart of what we and everybody else is advocating. I myself is a believer in technology, and it will provide many of the answers to the challenges we face. Now, this is very odd to be coming from a major producer of fossil fuels. But I can tell you that we are doing a lot of things in the area of renewables, in the area of efficiency, in the area of eliminating many emissions, whether they are gases or CO2 or whatever, you name it. We are doing a lot of effort there. Now, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia remains committed to this approach. We are focused on our carbon management roadmap and are taking serious steps to make further progress across a range of initiatives. These include a focus on boosting energy efficiency measures in the kingdom, investing in the education of our young people, and putting time and money into cutting-edge technology projects. In this regard, we are investing in renewable technology such as solar, but also in carbon capture and storage, or CCS. Just last month, in November this year, Saudi Arabia hosted the 6th CSLF ministerial meeting in Riyadh, which highlighted some of the projects and efforts taking place around the world in this vital area. Now, the Kingdom Uthmaniyya project, this is a major project in Saudi Arabia, located in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia, will capture and store approximately 800,000 tons of CO2 per year from a natural gas production and processing facility, and will include pipeline transportation of approximately 70 kilometers to the injection site. Now, we have an opportunity to see the demonstration. Now, we are not going to know very much this year. We will be observing what is happening underground. We will have overground observation. We will have underground observation to see what is happening to CO2. We know that not 100% will remain in the reservoir. We believe something like 50% will probably come back as we produce the oil, but we will be able to collect it and re-inject it again. This is going to be a trial and error for a while, but believe me, we have all the confidence that this is one way to reduce emissions. Now, another way, of course, is to take carbon, separate it from oxygen, and produce polymers, which is another material good for everybody. And then we come to the vehicle and the rubber. And hopefully we will be producing eventually a rubber that will cause less friction in the car, and then, of course, less gasoline and less emissions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary Moniz, Governor Brown. First of all, I would like to say that I'm very much looking forward to come to California in June for the Clean Energy Ministerial. Especially after Governor Brown's very passionate speech, it is hard to find any more interesting place to visit as a next step after Paris. So I'm looking forward to it. Sweden is, as we heard before, actively involved in SEM with engagement in the initiatives on smart grids, on appliances, on electric vehicles, and since yesterday also on Global Lightning Challenge. And we are also working together to see what role cities may play in the SEM process. But there are also other initiatives within the SEM that interest us. The one on energy efficiency in the industry, and women in energy, gender equality in the energy sector, just to mention two. But I would like also to take the opportunity to formally announce, as Secretary Moniz said before, that Sweden now also have joined the Clean Energy Solution Center with a contribution of 2 million Swedish krona, and also experts from our energy agency. We are very excited that this new collaboration, which we believe will play a key role in the implementations of the INDCs. One of the questions was, why do we participate? I think the answer is what Governor Brown just was talking about. No single country or state could solve this on their own. And for us, it is very important to show that tackling climate change is not only about agreements, treaties, costs, burdens. It's also about concrete solutions. It is also by showing that it is possible to change our way of life and make it better, improve it, not only by tackling the climate change. I mean, by decreasing our use of fossil fuels, we also improve people's health, our air. So I think there is only things to win, even if there is in the short term also costs. I would like to see them as investments. And for us as a small country, participating in the Clean Energy Ministerial is a way of both to contribute but also to learn things. And I must also confess that the bottom-up approach that Secretary Moniz was talking about is very appealing, because it's non-bureaucratic, and it is, I think, a lot of the things that we are done in a very efficient way, and therefore it is very interesting for us to participate and be part of the Clean Energy Ministerial. The Nordic countries has, during the last 30, 40 years, done a lot to try to transform our energy sectors to become more sustainable. I mean, let me just take one example. 35 years ago, almost all heating in Sweden was done by fossil fuels, oil mostly. And after the oil crisis in the 70s, we decided that we need to do something about that. And during that 30 years, we have transformed our heating sector, and I think everybody can acknowledge how important the heating sector is for a country like Sweden up in the north. We have transformed it from a sector that was solely dependent on oil to be a sector today that are more or less renewable. Bioenergy most, waste management in a way that I think is very good, both economically but also for the environment. And today I would say that talking about 100% renewable energy system is not a dream anymore. It is a concrete ambition that is achievable, and it will make the Swedish economy a better economy, Swedish society a better society. And even though that we can recognize that we will not, as Governor Brown was saying, we will not solve all the world's problems, we still want to make a showcase. It is possible to create a welfare society that is not dependent on fossil fuels. We have the technology, we have the science, we have the knowledge. We should be able to do that, and that's why we have now set out as a goal that we will try to create a 100% renewable welfare society in the world. Thank you very much.
Well, California will participate as through our laboratories, Livermore Lab, the Berkeley Lawrence Laboratory. This is a place of great research and innovation. Caltech, Stanford, USC, University of California, San Diego, Irvine, Davis, as well as Berkeley. So there's a lot we can do, but I want to just reiterate what that challenge is. It has been estimated that the carbon budget for the whole world will allow the burning of fossil fuels and other activities like deforestation only to the extent of 1 trillion 1 trillion tons of CO2. That's all we can do, right? About 1 trillion. Well, 1 trillion, we're burning it at about 50 billion a year. That means in 20 years, if we don't radically change, we'd have to stop if we really want to be under 2 degrees. So that gives you the idea. That 50 billion's got to come down. The estimates are it's not coming down, it's going up. So we got to turn that curve, and we got to turn it fast. And that's going to take money, it's going to take research, it's going to take collaboration, and it's going to take real transformation in how we think and how we put our lives together. Big challenge. And it isn't clear how the hell we're going to get there. But it is possible. That's what we're saying. And so there it is. And I hope the Clean Energy Ministerial is a major force, because we need every major force we can find.
Okay, shall we move to the Q&A, audience Q&A? Perfect. Thank you, ministers. Thank you, Governor. I also wanted to express regrets from the UK Secretary of Energy and Climate Change, Amber Rudd. She wasn't able to make it. And we have to leave some time for some closing remarks at the end by our Danish minister. So we have just 10 minutes for Q&A. So I want to take 3 questions at a time, if you can keep those in mind. So 3 questions at a time. Just raise your hand. Okay, one here.
Thank you. This is a question addressed to Minister Moniz. I'm the Iraqi ambassador to France. My name is Farid Yassin, and in a previous life, I also was a former physicist, and that really hurts. My question is addressed to you, and I want to talk about fusion. It's often forgotten, and the reason I'm bringing it up right now is because recently there's a flurry of articles talking about grassroots, sort of small companies coming up proposing new schemes to speed up the harnessing of fusion energy, which everybody presented us when we started doing our graduate work as a silver bullet. Where do we stand on this? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And one more question right here.
Alfred Schwartz with the Brazilian sugarcane industry. My question goes to Secretary Moniz, Governor Jerry Brown, and Minister Bailan. Being among the largest ethanol consumers, Sweden in Europe and the US and California, what would be the role of clean and sustainably produced ethanol in your agendas? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Peter Sweetman. I'm with Climate Strategy and Partners. Each one of you in your remarks has mentioned the important role of energy efficiency, and I particularly was keen to hear what you felt the G20 could do about accelerating energy efficiency investment next year.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll start with the first question was on fusion, and it is certainly correct that almost kind of below the radar, there's been a lot of private investment in small companies, actually for both nuclear fission and nuclear fusion innovative concepts. In fusion, of course, we have the mainline approach, which is manifested mainly now in the international collaboration called ITER here in France. That is a very, very large effort, tens of billions of dollars to get there, and I think we'll have an answer from that in approximately a decade. But on these innovative concepts, there have been some very surprising results in terms of confinement times with new concepts. But I think it's very hard to know how or when those can break through to a commercially competitive electricity generation. But I think what's happening is really extraordinarily interesting in exploring novel ways of getting increased density and increased confinement time. I might add, at the Department of Energy, we've also have a program now through our ARPA-E which is looking for novel ideas in completely different regimes of plasma. So there's a lot of new thinking going on, and hopefully we will be able to get away from that always 30 years away paradigm. Maybe I'll just pass it on to the next question for ethanol. Governor Brown, do you want to discuss?
Well, I guess ethanol is biofuels. California has a low carbon fuel standard, which aims to force the oil companies to incorporate by 2020 10% of what we define as low carbon fuel. And that's precisely defined under our law. So far at 1%, the oil companies say they can't do maybe 3-4%. We think they can do more. But ethanol itself in California, if you grow corn in Illinois and you take it by truck and you take it to California and you put it in a refinery, actually we found that some ethanol plants generated more greenhouse gases than oil production. So that's a big problem. Now I know in Brazil it's a more efficient process. So I would hope this Clean Energy Ministerial can help find ways to develop biofuels. Some people think that that's not a promising pathway. I don't know, but it would really help. We have biodiesel. We have some serious quantity of that, but the other stuff, cellulosic has not come through yet, and we need some more. We need some more success. But this whole thing of growing food for cars, when we have hungry people, that raises troublesome questions. So what is you're all? I didn't do well in physics, so I don't know if it's a physics question or a biology question. But what, from an abstract point of view, is using the soil and the pesticides and the water to feed cars. How does that work when they're competing, driving up the price for people? I think this is a good, worthy topic. I know we got a law in America that says you got to use a lot of this stuff, but I don't, as the phrase goes, I'm not sure it's research-based or data-driven. Those are the two magic words that I hear former physicists using a lot. What? Came from Congress. So anyway, yeah, we need different kind of fuels if we're going to get we get down to two tons per person in California and really decarbonize the economy. We need everything. We need a lot, and we're far, far from where we have to go.
I think it won't be possible to decarbonize the transportation sector without the use of bioenergy and biofuels. Today, Sweden has the highest share of biofuels in the transportation sector in the European Union, but it's only 18.5%. So if we are to manage to create a 100% renewable energy system, I think biofuels will have to play a vital role, but the key word is sustainability. The problem is, just as Governor Brown was saying, it has not always been the case. And therefore, we must make sure that our use of biofuels is sustainable. In that case, I think it will play ethanol, other biodiesel, biogas will be playing a very vital role in the transportation sector, even though we are seeing electrification when it comes to private cars. For trucks, buses, and so on, biofuels will play a vital role in the coming decades, but it has to be sustainable. When it comes to energy efficiency, I think we have a huge amount of possibilities today with the creation of smart grids, with the development of smart grids, Internet of Things, carbon pricing. I think we are just on the verge of a revolution here if we play it right. And I think energy efficiency will have to play a very vital role if we're going to manage the climate challenge. Otherwise, I don't think it is possible just to add more and more production. That won't be viable in the future. But the conditions for energy efficiency in the future, technically and policy-wise is great, I think, for the future. And hopefully that will also be one of the outcomes from Paris this week.
I would like to just address the issue of efficiency and our experiment with establishing a center for efficiency. You know, 9 months of the year, we are a big user of air conditioning. And the center really helped us with reducing between 20 to 30% of the energy use in air conditioning. And now, of course, we are looking at efficiency in cars. We have major research, as I said earlier, in trying to improve the tires, the rubber for the tires, so we have less friction with the cars. And so efficiency, focusing on efficiency, is really the name of the game. The more efficient we use any resource is very, very important. We are a profligate user of energy in Saudi Arabia, and we will, through efficiency, reduce that. I have another comment that I didn't say earlier, and this is not on energy efficiency, but on how we look at fossil fuels. Governor Brown talked about California being a major producer of oil. Saudi Arabia is a huge producer of oil and gas. But the problem is not with fossil fuels. The problem is with emissions from fossil fuels. And we should focus on how can we use fossil fuels and eliminate emissions. And this is what we are in Saudi Arabia focused on, is eliminate emissions. Do a lot of research on how to control and manage and lessen emissions worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know this panel went exceptionally fast, but I now, because of time, must invite Danish Minister Lars Christian Lilleholt, who's the Minister of Energy, Utilities and Climate, to provide the closing remarks.
Your Excellencies, dear guests, thank you for inviting me to speak today about SEM. I have been asked to give Denmark's view on SEM's relevance and future in light of the ongoing 2.0 process. First, it is clear that the world's attention is now on climate negotiations and on addressing climate change. The solutions to climate change is a global transformation to clean energy. A clean energy plays a critical role in the follow-up to COP-21. So does SEM. We are honored to be a part of SEM as a very small country. However, we have a lot of clean energy know-how. SEM is a small and effective group of 24 countries and the EU. But the small countries group together account for about 90% of clean energy investment and 75% of greenhouse gas emission. If we get it right with clean energy for these small groups of countries, we can also change the rest of the world. SEM is an implementation forum. It combines high-level discussions with action on the ground. SEM therefore play an important role not just in helping countries and key stakeholders fulfill their respective clean energy goals, but it also in helping build confidence and the capacity to increase ambition over time. To this end, the SEM 2.0 process is very important. This vision was introduced by ministers in Mexico last summer. We find this process of real importance, and Denmark is honored to take part in the steering committee. The steering committee is now working hard to develop the concept of a new and even stronger SIM that can play a key role in the global energy architecture after Paris. I very much look forward to taking part in the next year's SIMS meeting in San Francisco in early June. Their minister will hopefully decide the framework for SIM 2.0. On a final note, I am also very happy that China will be host SIM 8 in 2017. Thank you.